So you want to be funny in conversations, but you don't want to look like a clown. Or worse, you try to be funny, but you end up making everything awkward. So I went out and tested 3 different humor styles in real conversations to figure out which ones actually made people laugh without trying too hard. This will change your conversations forever. Hey everyone, if you're new here, my name is Blake and I help real people like you improve their social skills with real life advice. I don't just tell you what to do, I actually go out and do it myself so you know it actually works. We just crossed 2,200 subscribers, so thank you so much for that. And if you want more social tips, be sure to check out my website where I've got a ton of extra resources and digital products available for you guys. All right, here are 3 types of humor that I found to be the most effective when I went out and used them in real conversations. Pocket jokes, stories, and magnification. Pocket jokes are pre-prepared jokes that you have memorized in your head beforehand that you can use to make just about anyone laugh. Stories are pretty obvious, learning how to make any story you tell a funny one. And then we have magnification, which is exaggerating and using sarcasm towards whoever you're talking to lightly tease whatever they're doing or whatever they're saying to make them laugh. Magnification is really popular when you're trying to make someone laugh who you have a crush on, or if you're trying to flirt with them, but it can be used with anyone you're trying to have a fun conversation with. Let's check out the first example of a pocket joke. Here's how it happened. For some context, I met this really cool guy while I was out shopping, and lo and behold, we have the same bracelet with a shark on it. And these animal bracelets connect you to a tracking app that connects to a real animal somewhere out in the wild, and so they're kind of unique. Here's how it went. Hold up. Yo, what's good, dude? Yeah. Yeah. How awesome is that, man? Well, Follow. It's the app, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You can like track your fish or whatever.
I actually got this when I went to visit the aquarium.
Oh, okay, very cool.
There. But I have a few. I have like a dolphin.
That's awesome. Yeah, my girlfriend, she's right over there. She's got like, I think you have a sea turtle or something. Your bracelet. Yeah. I was like,
we have the same one.
Literally a shark. Yeah. Yeah, I kept tracking mine. Mine ended up at a Red Lobster. I don't know what that's about, but. Now, like I said, this was a pocket joke. I had this joke in my head already. It was pre-prepared for any time someone asked me about this particular bracelet. So just in case I ever get asked about it, I can lead the conversation toward making a funny moment and getting whoever I'm talking to laugh. I've got about 10 pocket jokes memorized in my head, ready to go for different situations for common conversation topics. However, I don't want you to be discouraged if you can't come up with a joke yourself. I've practiced for years learning humor and how to deliver a punchline to make people laugh. But what taught me the most was studying stand-up comedians. Specifically, I would study the crowd work of stand-up comedians. Crowd work is when comedians pick a random person in the audience and they talk to them to see if they can make up jokes about them or their situation or their job on the spot. And that's literally what I'm teaching here. It's how to talk to anyone and make it funny. And so a great tip for you is to go and study those clips of comedians doing crowd work on YouTube or on social media. And don't be afraid to take inspiration from some of the exact jokes that they tell, right? Memorize that punchline and bank it in your mind as a pocket joke so you know next time you're in a conversation where a similar topic gets mentioned, you have a joke you can tell. It's not about copying them exactly, but it can be at first if that helps you learn. But over time, you get better and the jokes will evolve and become more of your own as you use them. All right, let's move on to telling stories. For this example, I was in a group conversation with some friends and we were talking about a not so funny subject. We started talking about the Heimlich maneuver. You know, that thing you have to do for someone like when they're choking? Someone asked if anyone had ever had this maneuver done to them, to which I said, yes. But it was tricky because you guys know me, I always want to pull the conversation back to a more positive tone, and so I had to find a way to tell this scary and kind of uncomfortable story in a funny way. Let's see how I did it. I can't remember how old I was, but I was consuming a lovely Werther's caramel candy. And in the midst of me enjoying this hard Werther's caramel candy, it decided to escape me in the wrong direction. And yep. And basically, I think my buddy probably made me laugh, you know, and it went the other direction. And then my friend's mom, who was standing there, was like,
You good? Nope. And she just she just went, and then it shot across the whole table. And yeah, I know. And what's the best part about the whole thing was she didn't make a big deal of it.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, yep, there he goes. Yep, I'm gonna go grab that for you. Took a napkin. Whoop, trash. You okay? And I was like, yeah, thanks. That was it. It was amazing. I was like, wow, thanks, Mom, too. And so, yeah, that's my Heimlich story.
And there you go. Somehow, some way, I was able to get people to laugh at this story, which at the time when I was a kid, especially when I went home and told my mom about it, it was kind of terrifying. So what did I do to make that story funny? Well, the first thing I did was I changed my voice into a more overly proper tone, because when you think about the idea of a child choking on candy, there's nothing proper about it, right? Kids aren't proper, candy isn't proper, and choking certainly isn't proper either. And so talking in this way about a topic that is so uncomfortable just makes it funnier. I also changed the way I said things, right? I said,
it decided to escape me in the wrong direction. And
which I was just making up on the spot, right? I wanted to get close to saying that classic phrase of like, oh, went down the wrong pipe, but I wanted to say it as ridiculous as possible, because that would be funny. But once I noticed those jokes or those gags, oh, get it? Anyway, once I noticed they started to get old and people weren't laughing as much at the way that I was speaking or how ridiculous I was saying things, I switched back to my normal voice and turned it into a more wholesome story.
yeah, I know. And what's the best part about the whole thing was she didn't make a big deal of it.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, yep, there he goes. Yep, I'm gonna go grab that for you. Took a napkin. Whoop, trash. You okay? And I was like, yeah, thanks. That was it. It was amazing. I was like, wow, thanks, Mom, too.
And so if the story you're telling doesn't have a clear punchline moment, right? Maybe it's a little long and it's getting a few laughs, but it's not quite the same amount of laughs as you expected, switching it up so it becomes more wholesome might be the way to go, so you still win over whoever you're telling the story to. And lastly, we have magnification. Like I said earlier, this works really well if you're trying to flirt with someone, but it also works great in everyday conversation. It's when you exaggerate a small funny moment into something way bigger, therefore making it funnier. Here's an example.
So here's the thing, my fiance,
What? Whoa. Whoa. Okay.
we like.
You said yes.
I did. It's just sometimes. He's like,
You've built this way up. What did he do? What did he do?
Pokemon cards.
Okay.
Evil.
Little Logan Paul of him, but all right.
I know. Here's the thing. I started buying them now.
Oh no, they got you hooked. It's gambling, dude. You're addicted to gambling. Man, he might be a piece of he's getting you addicted to stuff.
Did you see how I made a small funny moment even funnier by over-exaggerating and using magnification?
You've built this way up. What did he do? What did he do?
Pokemon cards. I started buying them now.
Oh no, they got you hooked. It's gambling, dude. You're addicted to gambling.
So once I caught on to the fact that she was already kind of teasing herself about this, I took that as permission to magnify and over-exaggerate the situation. So in this case, I established agreement by mimicking her energy and mimicking her feelings, and then I exaggerated it by essentially saying, no, this doesn't sound like you're just collecting Pokemon cards for fun and having a little hobby. No. This is a full-blown gambling addiction, and your fiance caused you to become addicted to gambling, and this is a serious problem, right? Now, is any of that true? No, it's sarcasm, and that's what makes it funny. It's also important to note that I would have never magnified or over-exaggerated something if I didn't know for sure that it was going to make them laugh. In this case, her laughing already was my sign. But do you always need to make sure that they're laughing at it before you magnify? No. But it helps, especially if you're learning, right? The last thing you want to do is to offend them accidentally. But as you get to know the person and you start to understand their humor and you understand the different parts of their life, like their likes and their dislikes, you know which parts to magnify and you'll know which parts to leave alone. If you want more tips like this, check out some of my other videos where I don't just tell you what to do, I actually go out into the world and do it myself so you know it really works. Thanks for watching.